All we're doing is basically onboarding these 750 mobile operators on a platform where any developer in the world, through any cloud provider, can go ahead and access these capabilities. And not only that you're able to use this private key to do so, there's so many data points that your mobile operator has on your locations, which says you're connected, what is the data. Imagine what you can do if you can somehow create a signature or multiple signature to create more multifactor authentications to do that.
Eran Haggiag, welcome to 20-Minute Leaders and the Matthias experiment. Thank you for being a part of my experiment. How are you?
Thank you. It's so great to be here. I'm great. Exciting times. Really excited from our conversation.
Wow. All right, Eran. First of all, you're a serial and parallel entrepreneur. I've gotten to know you over the past few years, and it's very rare to meet somebody who's both a serial entrepreneur and that you do many endeavors, but then also that you parallelize a lot of the things that you do, and it feels that every conversation we have, I get introduced to the reality as you see it, and you're not confined to the constraints of the reality that we objectively see in front of us, which is incredible. So today we're going to dive into Eran's work in the context of Glide and the digital identities and next generation identity security, a world which I'm obviously very curious about, having been acting and playing in the world of deepfakes myself. But Eran, thank you again for being here. Tell me a little bit about yourself. How do you perceive yourself in your own entrepreneurial journey?
So first of all, I'm very curious. So I like to learn different fields, and I like to dive into different areas. I've been doing things, from enterprise software to algorithmic trading to ed tech to blockchain stuff. And every time when I find something that I feel that I can bring real value in and I get curious about, I find myself into a new journey. So it's my life is not boring, that's for sure.
All right. And so what brought you to digital identities? Where are we at today? Because I'm sure that the evolution of what's happened over the last couple of years has led also to part of your diving into digital identities.
Yeah. So I would say that my main interest in the last several years is around positive alignment. So actually how to take a lot of different big companies and forces in the world and find a way, a new model that they can all align positively and create greater value together and greater value to humanity. By a set of coincidence, I got into the telecom industry, and I worked a long time at trying and still succeeding to align many big telcos like Deutsche Telecom, Vodafone, like the big giants, to work together in different use cases. And a successful journey we've done around with ClearX is around blockchain-based reconciliation and settlement, or basically trading automation, how to have this giant multinational companies to have frictionless trading and how they can govern this in a joint way, and how to avoid a centralized party basically controlling this. So this is one of the most successful experiments in using blockchain in an enterprise environment and actually succeeding to do something together. Working with these telcos is extremely, extremely slow. And while doing this journey and getting this into production, doing security, privacy, IT, procurement, all that stuff with this long sales cycle, I came across this amazing opportunity to do alignment in a even greater scale and benefit not just the telcos, but humanity. And that opportunity is around exposing the capabilities of mobile networks and telcos in general as APIs to developers. And this is relevant for multiple use cases, which I find identity to be the most interesting one. So by kind of being in this field for almost 7 years now and knowing all these telecom companies and understanding, we came across this opportunity of aggregating these APIs. And this is all done under a new initiative called Open Gateway, which is kind of open banking for telecom. And we became a very involved party in this. And that gave birth to Glide out of the ClearX structure. That is our new endeavor to handle Open Gateway and the identity for the AI era.
Wow. Okay. So a lot to unpack there. Let's start with where this is all the foundation of this, which is all about the alignment and how do we create a better value for better society and better humanity. Those are big words. I know you mean them, and I know you're very intentional about them. But for clarity, what does that mean? What does it mean to have for you better alignment in today's world?
So a nice thought experiment is to think about if all telcos were one company, okay, or they were aligned in some structure. That was the company with the biggest customer base in the world, 5.6 billion customers, right? The telephone number is the biggest widely used identity in the world that can identify you anywhere. And this theoretical worldwide telco has also commercial relationship with almost any company in the world providing connectivity. So that could be ideally what gives us not only our connectivity, but also our identity and our means of payment. And you ask yourself why still in 2024, the most commonly used way of authenticating our identity is an SMS that we get. That we all get these SMS one-time passwords throughout the week, which is a more than 30-year-old technology that is unencrypted, very weird user experience. Sometimes you don't get it. Sometimes you need to copy it. You got a huge wholesale market with many aggregators and gray routes and politics and all kinds of things, where we have, such an amazing technology connecting all of us, allowing us to make this video recording today, right? And this is because of lack of alignment. This is because all of these companies didn't find the way to actually work together to provide these new types of solutions. And there are many other examples of this in other industries. But with telecom, this is so strong because if you think of it, I don't know any other service that humanity had that with this mobile device, you can get into any country in the world and instantly get service. Even if you want to charge your phone, you have different kind of sockets and different kind of standards around electricity. If you drive a car, sometimes it's in the right side and the left side, whatever. And this is like the most successful universal solution. So you can see what happens when you have alignment and what kind of value you can bring to humanity and when you don't have. And this is, of course, not just in telecom. That can happen around countries, around banking, around energy. Many of the utilities of the world, if we would consider them from a global perspective, we can create much more value with much less effort.
Absolutely. Okay, so transitioning from alignment to Glide, and I want to unpack a little bit. I think it's important to note identity security is one of the most interesting, I think, fields in today's world. The increase in fraud due to account takeovers, identity breaches, is in the hundreds of percent. We have it's repeatedly in all the reports from CrowdStrike to Verizon to Deloitte, and the stories are just adding up. There's new modalities to attack, whether it's injection attacks, presentation attacks, deepfake attacks, and so there's a lot of different ways to now circumvent existing identity securities. mechanisms. And it's also important to say that there's a large number of identity security vendors. There's about 95, the last time I spoke with Gartner, identity security vendors. And I haven't heard yet of the concept that you're looking at, which is looking at it from a telecom perspective. And I want to make sure that I really understand that properly. So, I understand the things that people are doing today with identity security. Obviously, multifactor authentication with SMS, biometric authentication, liveness detection, deepfake detection. Can you explain again and maybe a little bit more intuitively how are you leveraging telecoms and where this positions Glide? Because then you have a really interesting model to the developer community.
Exactly. So, I think you touched, but you mentioned few types of identity protection or identity authentication. One of them is around multi-factor authentication, right?
Yeah.
And you also mentioned the SMS as one of them. The SMS is the current telecom way of doing multi-factor authentication, right? So all we're doing is we're saying, hey, there's so many new technologies that we can implement today that can create a far better multi-factor authentication solution using telecom providers. The basic thing to understand is that we all walk around with a device that is a kind of a hardware wallet. If you look at it from a crypto perspective, right? We have a private key in our SIM card here with very good encryption, and we still use a clear text SMS. So all we're doing is basically onboarding the 750 mobile operators on a platform where any developer in the world, through any cloud provider, can go ahead and access these capabilities. And not only that you're able to use this private key to do so, there's so many data points that your mobile operator has on you, right? On your locations, which says you're connected, what is the data. Imagine what you can do if you can somehow create a signature or multiple signature to create more multi-factor authentications to do that. So we provide a platform to do that with confidential computing, with different elements of privacy and security to make it happen. So basically, we are just reinventing or helping telcos to provide what they've invested. The investment around 5G was so far more than $1 trillion, including frequencies and equipment. $1 trillion, you can imagine. And this is not being leveraged at all today in the identity field. So we are helping exposing this by providing developers all over the world through the cloud provider to access these type of identity solutions.
So to make sure I understand, you're basically saying there is this entire industry that we've been building, which is called the telecommunications industry. We've invested an enormous amounts of money in anything from the 2G to 3G to 4G to 5G. And it's just increasing. It's a mature industry. We use it all the time. This is what drives our real-time communication channels. At the same time, we have this emerging problem that emerges called identity security. We're digitized. We want to open bank accounts through digital identities. We want to log in using, without constantly having to convince who we are. And we've developed mechanisms, right? We've developed multi-factor authentication through SMSs 30 years ago. We've developed more recent face recognition, biometric recognition, which have their own issues. Yet these two worlds have never been connected in a meaningful way, because you're effectively saying there is potential in the data that the telecommunication industry has, that if you just create a platform around this data and you make it accessible via APIs and SDKs to the developer community, you can effectively create a next generation multi-factor authentication, which has better user experience than the SMSs, and it also is less prone to the breaches that SMSs have. Is that right? All right, I want to invest. I got it.
Exactly, and because of all the things that you mentioned, because of deep fakes, biometrics are going to become harder.
Absolutely.
Because and this is what you're expert in. How do I know that you are you now, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, soon it's going to be very hard. But maybe I can trigger now something that will pop up in your phone, and you can now authenticate that this is actually you, right? Because you have already the same SIM card for, I don't know, the 15, 20 years that you have. So the depth of the identity knowledge that the telco has is unprecedented. The amount of events that it has about you, it's such a strong way to authenticate and to verify you. And it goes even beyond that, because then it becomes not only to authenticate you in the digital world, but also in the physical world. When you go ahead to buy to go to a hotel, why do you need to give your passport and put all the fields and wait 7 minutes until you want to do, we call that product That's Me. You want to tap it into your payment, your identity is just there, fully authenticated, and that's it. You want to go ahead and rent a car, why do you need to put all these forms and everything? That's me, and you got it. So there's so many areas where these APIs can create verification, ease of use, and much better security.
Absolutely. Eran, this is such a cool field that you're in. And I think that what excites me most is it's not just identity security is a really fascinating field, because it's a foundation for enabling us to continue being digitized and being secure and confident in the digital world. But what really excites me about what you're doing is really the ability to take in a mature industry, which is, the telecommunication industry in this case, understanding it deeply, building the right relationships, and being able to at the same time understand where the developers are at, where are the interesting use cases in the digitized modern 2024 Gen AI world, being the platform that bridges those things together. And I think that that's obviously a sign of amazing entrepreneurship, but I think it's also just a great case study. And I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for Glide. I want to read about this case study in business school when I go there one day, because it feels like the beginning of a case study. That's what I'm trying to say. And I'm excited to follow it through. So best of luck, Eran, and thank you very much for joining me today.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.